Hey guys, what's up? Thank you so much for your comments and your feedback. I really appreciate them. So this next video is on self-coaching and it was requested by Andrew, who watched the last session I did with Carole on personal development and professional development. And Carole mentioned something about self-coaching. She just brushed on it. So we got her back once again to address it for us and hopefully you get some tips. So that being said, if you guys out there have anything that you want us to discuss, any topic, any concerns, you want me to find a resource person to kind of address this issue, put it in the comment section. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, what are you waiting for? Do so right now and just sit back, relax, and enjoy. And I'll catch you later. Bye. Good morning, Carole, and thank you for joining us once again to share your knowledge. We've had incredible feedback since our last video, and I'm really grateful to have you back here. How have you been?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah, another week, another week goes by in COVID, and we all just carry on as we do.
Yeah, and things are getting better, I think, for most people. I hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I do hope so, and it feels a little bit like a chrysalis. We're sort of emerging now.
Yeah. Anyway, so I talked about we had a lot of feedback from your video last time, and one thing you dropped was self-coaching, and that's what people have been asking me. What is self-coaching and how effective it is? So I'm glad that you've agreed to kind of teach us more on it and talk more on it. Can you just give us some little gist? What is self-coaching and what's its ultimate goal?
It's really around how you motivate yourself, and then it really links back to what I was saying before about having a plan. Something that I was reminded of that my daughter wrote many years ago when she was a child, and she said, "It's the unknown, not the known, that sparks the curiosity for self-discovery."
True.
And I think that for me really puts self-coaching in the spotlight, because if we're curious about what we don't know about ourselves, then we can find the energy and the curiosity within us to start asking questions. And for self-coaching, I think it really comes down to asking yourself some really basic questions. What are my challenges?
Okay.
Think about those challenges. And then what choices do I have? And you would rank those choices. And then you would think about, well, what are the consequences of each of those choices? And then take a step back and start to think about what solutions you want to put in place. And then you can start to see what it is you want to discover about yourself. So if we come back to those challenges, what are your challenges? What are my challenges? How would I express them? And if you're struggling to think, well, everything's my challenge, flip it and think, well, what outcomes do I want? And then go back to, so what are my challenges? If I know I've got some outcomes I want to achieve, what are my challenges? And be honest. And invite other people onto your self-coaching journey. Because we can't, although it's self-coaching, if we only ever look at ourselves and ask ourselves questions, we're not drawing on the wealth of knowledge that other people have about us. So I would start with that. What are my challenges? What outcomes do I want? And then what are my choices? And rank those choices. No one can make those decisions for you. if you think about what are my choices and how do I want to rank them, and then go and talk to people, and get some other real world views, if you like. And then you keep going round in a cycle.
Interesting, because in this moment, many of us feel like there are lots of challenges, and most of them we don't have control over it. They are the external things. And so it's kind of hard. But I get what you're saying, that you can also start with what outcomes do you want, because at the beginning of the year, some of us had goals to achieve at the end, and now everything seems crushed. So I think just listing them down and then listing the challenges, being honest, will give you a clear view of what other ways you can achieve them. And it's interesting you say that you can bring others on your self-coaching. So in bringing others, what kind of questions do you ask them?
They would all be what we refer to in coaching as calibrated questions.
Okay.
How, where, when. These are all open questions. So if you're inviting somebody onto your coaching journey, when do you see me working at my best?
Good question.
When do you see me working at my worst? That's a fundamentally different way of asking the question. If you say, do you see me working at my best? You get a yes or a no answer. And that doesn't help. But a calibrated question, a how question, a when question, a where question. And
what of a what question?
I would say the first what question is, what are my challenges?
Okay.
And then you could ask yourself, how do I know these are my challenges? Where do I see myself experiencing these challenges? When do I see myself experiencing them? And the more you ask yourself these calibrated questions, the richer you will find the information coming to you. If you have the courage, not the strength, but the courage to really face probably some quite hard questions. And a really hard question is when there is nothing that you see. What are my challenges? I don't know. That's a really hard question, and it's a really hard answer. So helping yourself by making a list and asking other people, when do you see me working at my best? When do you see me working at my worst? What would you wish for me? And just keep making lists. You know, when you start a self-coaching journey, it can take quite a while in the first instance, you know, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, for you to really start thinking out what are my challenges? Where do I want to be? How am I going to get there, etc., etc. They're really, really big questions. So narrow them down. When do I see myself working at my best? When do others see me working at my best? When do I see myself working at my least effective?
So during this time, one thing, even before this time, one thing I do is trying to be a part of everything because I think I can. And during this time, I didn't want to get distracted. I wanted to focus on my strength. And so one question I think I asked one good friend of mine was, what am I good at? What do you see me good at? And it was interesting. The answer, she was just blunt, and she just gave me those answers. And that kind of got me focused on what to do going forward, even during this time and ahead, so I don't kind of deviate. Because even though I can do most things, I don't think it's beneficial to do everything, just tap on things. And I think most of us do that, and some of us also self-sabotage in the things that we do or don't even do. because of the things that are around us. So what ways can we not do that, self-sabotage?
That's a good question, because it often feels easier to self-sabotage, because what we're saying is we're validating how we feel. But what we're doing is we're validating a negative emotion. And what we really want to be doing is validating positive emotions. But we all, at various times in our lives, we'll all self-sabotage, whether that's waking up in the morning and thinking, yes, I've got a plan for the day, and then it all falls apart because, you're not really fussed and you can't really be bothered and it's just not working for you. Well, I would say at that point, recognize it and decide to do something different in the day, so that you're meeting that self-sabotage moment, and you're accepting that maybe the day is not working for you the way you want it to. Maybe you're just not feeling able to achieve anything. Then meet that self-sabotage and go, okay, do you know what? That's okay. I'm going to choose to do something different just for today. And pull yourself back from that self-sabotage moment. It's all about making decisions.
Sometimes too, we don't recognize it. Like, I'm thinking about this animal, this bird, that when it senses danger, it just digs its head in the ground, and then its whole body is outside. So some of us don't know when there's danger, the safest thing is to run and hide or not do anything, and we think it would just pass. How true is that? And should we always be in a reaction mode, or how should we tackle events?
Yeah, absolutely. We all have that fight or flight. And it all comes from our amygdala. And I think of the amygdala, which is the really small center, pretty much at the base of the brain. And that's your fear center. And I tend to think of it as a spinning disc. And when that disc is spinning and it's on high alert, adrenaline is flushing through your body. And it can put you in a position of running away or wanting to hide. And I would say at that moment, recognize it and breathe. You know, there's few things more powerful to keep you alive than breathing. And of course, we all need to breathe, but we don't think about breathing on a daily basis. And so think about the way you breathe. Slow that amygdala and start to take control of your amygdala. Otherwise, it will constantly control you because it's your unconscious trying to keep you safe. But our unconscious can sort of work towards self-sabotage if we're not really in control of it. So I would say breathe and breathe and be very conscious of breathing.
The first breathing, yeah, and then identifying it, as you said, recognizing it, probably naming it, and then you can then know what steps to take going forward. Yeah. So
label an emotion.
You
take the sting out of it.
Yeah.
If you feel an emotion, that's what you feel, and those feelings will trigger more emotions: fear, excitement, self-sabotage, energy. So when you feel an emotion, label it, give it a name, and that helps to draw the sting from it, and that can help.
So like, I'm feeling scared or I'm feeling super excited, just acknowledging that is a step on its own, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you're feeling scared, you know, you will have all of those feelings. So voice them. I'm feeling scared. You've now labeled it, because when you're feeling that emotion, you won't necessarily give it a name. It's a feeling. But if you label it, then it's like, yeah, I'm feeling scared. So what are my challenges? What are my choices? What are the consequences of feeling scared? What solutions do I need to put in place? And what action will I do as a consequence? Label it, put it in front of you, recognize it, write it down, and then go back to your self-coaching process of challenges, choices, consequences, solutions, and actions.
So usually we say hindsight is a gift, where you kind of see everything and then you can say, oh, I could have done that, I could have done this. What about before? So I know that in this process, in this season, I can get scared, I can get super excited, motivated, anxious, feeling not enough. Can I kind of make a list of things that I think are constant with me and kind of know that, okay, when I'm feeling scared, these are my options, these are the things I can do? Kind of write it down and paste it somewhere, like call a friend or read a book or watch Netflix. Things that can give you the opposite feeling. Could that work as well?
Definitely, it could work. It really could. You know, if you want to change the way you think or feel, change the way you move. We can all get stuck. But if you really want to make a change, you know, stand up, write it, whatever it is, down, make a list, put it on the wall. You've created some physical action in yourself. And that physical action, by its very nature, starts to give you some movement towards something else. And then sometimes, you know, we feel we're being dragged back onto the sofa. You know, just keep pushing yourself forward. But yeah, write it down. Ask a friend, and be curious about how you appear to yourself and how you appear to other people. You know, those body language signals. And you know, it really does come back to it's the unknown, not the known, that really sparks our curiosity.
And I think it's quite interesting. If you want to do something different, you have to do something different. Yes. If you want to get something different, you have to do something different.
Yeah.
And so instead of just binging back or kind of doing everything in the morning, I think once in a day, if we could have in our to-do list, if you do have a to-do list, something that challenges you, something that gets you off your bed or off your chair, like maybe bake something new or cook something. I think that's one thing that has taken me through, because once a week I would just go to the kitchen and just check on YouTube for a new recipe, and I'm doing ice creams or cakes or something new, and it's exciting. And even when I share with my friends, the excitement I get, and I think, yeah, it's a good thing to challenge yourself. I wouldn't do it on a normal day, but I'm grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to do things that we enjoy. Since this lockdown, I've been, you know, exercise is so good for mental health. Of course, we know that, but it's one thing to know it, and it's another thing to do it. And so I've signed up to doing Pilates. So 7:30, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings, I get up early and get ready for my Pilates, and it sets me up for the day. So before talking with you this morning, I did my Pilates, and I'll do some Pilates later on in the day. And you know, if we change the way we move, it changes the way we think. I'll be perfectly honest, I don't always want to get up and do Pilates. I really don't. Sometimes it's just nice to listen to the birds tweeting. But you know, we do have to push ourselves. And something you said earlier about learning from our mistakes. You know, unless we reflect on what we did that didn't work, we're not really sure what it is we need to do to change. So I think mistakes are great, because they help us to learn what to do, what not to do. So reflecting, a big part of self-coaching is reflecting on what you've done previously, what worked, what didn't work, and then think about, what are my challenges, what are my choices, rank those choices, and then you go back around that cycle of challenges, choices, consequences for each of the choices, and then you make your decision. What solution do you want to put in place? And then you do your action. And that may be to get up in the morning and decide you're going to bake cakes. That's your choice for the day, and that's fantastic. And sharing them with friends, that's wonderful.
So just on the go here, if we are supposed to do like a tool or like a framework for people, including myself, as to how to self-coach, you're saying reflection, identification of challenges, asking open questions to ourselves and to other people about ourselves, and then setting a plan of action, and then I think reflection again, so that you see how it went. So I'll go through it again. Reflection, identification of challenges, asking open questions to ourselves and to others, setting a plan of action, and then reflection. I think if we do it every day, it might work. Thank you, Carole.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we say in the simulation that we do in the university, the professional development simulation, reflect, connect, apply.
Okay. When you say connect, what are we connecting? Sorry.
You're connecting to things that have happened in the past that have gone well, things that have not gone well. So you're connecting it to an experience.
Okay.
So you're reflecting on a situation. You're connecting it to other experiences. You're deciding what it is you need to do, and then you're applying your action to it.
Okay.
It's used a great deal in the sports world, in the business world. There are so many different models people can choose. But that reflect, connect, apply is a really useful one.
Interesting. Okay, so one thing that everybody fears is mental health after all this kind of quiets down, how people are just going to digress. Even those who have this hero syndrome will kind of want to have a break and then have a breakdown. And so there are questions during this season of, I am not enough. I don't think I'll be well prepared for the job. I'm going to be in competition with so many people who are looking for a job. Things are not working in my favor. I have no choice. Everything's just happening to me. How do we kind of change the self-belief to kind of serve us, not denying our whatever we are feeling, but reaffirming something new in our lives to serve us? That is also true.
Absolutely. It's about stopping those negative thoughts. We all have those little thoughts in our head. If we're listening to those negative thoughts, we're validating those negative beliefs. And what we really need to do is validate a positive self-belief, not validate negative self-belief. The one thing that this awful COVID situation does is it does put us all on the same level. We are all in the same situation. And therefore, there are as many opportunities for one person as there are for another person. It's how you choose to look for those opportunities, and it's how you choose to develop yourself through them. I said this before, it's around being kind to yourself and listen to the positive thoughts and not the negative thoughts. It's so much easier, I think, to listen to the negatives because we're so used to hearing them. and it's not helpful. It's certainly not self-coaching, and it's not going to help move us forward. So find a way of letting those negative thoughts go and start looking for and listening to those positive thoughts, because they are there. We just need to give them a voice.
So someone might say, I wake up and I don't even get any positive thoughts. Everything is kind of against me. How can I find within myself, or with some people, for myself, a positive thing, something to hold on to?
I think if you're waking up like that, my gift of a suggestion would be to not think, not push those thoughts, but to act. So get yourself out of bed and almost just go through the mechanics of movement and allow yourself to move, allow yourself to breathe, and then start to have a little bit of a conversation with yourself. But if we're lying in bed thinking, I can't think of anything positive today, then don't force it. Just make a move. If you want to change the way you think, change the way you move.
Interesting. I'm just remembering one session we had with you where you talked about body posture and how it kind of affects your whole aura. If you want to feel down, you just put your shoulders down, and psychologically it just works for you. It's like your brain is working for whatever you give it to do. So I think body posture, even if you're sad, just smiling to yourself, looking in the mirror, can kind of spark something, I think. So
oh, definitely. One of my favorite things to to get people to do is thinking about that posture, is to get them to stand up. And you may remember this.
Yes.
And providing you don't have any back problems, drop your head forward, and your arms are sort of falling down by your side, and it's as if you're about to try and touch your toes. And you say, I feel miserable. And you probably do feel and sound miserable at that point. And then switch your body position. Stand up tall, put your hands high up in the air, and I invite you to say, I feel miserable. And you can't feel as miserable when you're in that position. It's just not how the mind and the body works.
Yeah.
And that for me is it's a reminder that if we change the way we move, we change the way we think. Stand tall, good posture, shoulders back, breathe, and put one foot in front of the other. Just keep going.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Carole. I really, really enjoyed this. Any last things you want to tell us before we go out?
Have courage. Have hope.
It's there.
And be curious. And I give you my very best wishes for your curiosity.
Thank you once again, Carole, for doing this. We really appreciate it. Hope to get in touch with you once again. And keep your feedbacks coming in, people. See you next time. Thank you, Carole.
Great pleasure. Bye-bye.